Hun Adventure Level 23. Orc. Nilisonian. Previous season's injuries and a pre-dawn chill greeted me as I rose from my bed. Still had a grin on my face as I rubbed my knee and shoulder though. A bit of cold and some aches weren't gonna get me down, cause I knew for certain that today was gonna be a damn fine day. Hells, if I didn't know any better, I think I was blessed. I had hoped to see the human and the altar boys again, and doing so would lift my spirits. Damn fine boys, and with my help they'll become some of the strongest adventurers ever to fight a monster. Well, at least Nick would. Nash ain't really got the shape for throwing fists, and York looks like he'd die if you slapped him too hard. Nick's hesitancy wasn't lost on me, but kids hardly ever know what's good for 'em. You give a kid a piece of liver and they'll stick their tongue out at it. But if you season their liver just right, they'll scarf it down like it's candied. All I gotta do is figure out what Nick'll like on his training. Once I finish my morning stretches, I tackle my hygiene. Most orcs can't really grow a beard, but I struggle to keep one off my face. Women will tell you it looks good, but having hair that's able to be grabbed as a melee fighter is dumb. Good way to get killed quick. I'd rather be alive and single than have myself a girly and die an idiot's death. I'd also rather be with a girl that would rather I be a bit ugly than die an idiot's death. Not that I've been looking or anything. My razor scraped the last bit of the lard and tallow mixture from my jaw, and I double-checked my work in the mirror. No nicks, cuts, or missed spots. I grinned at my reflection and rinsed my face off. I ain't exactly ugly, but not exactly pretty either. Got the perfect kind of face to settle for, which is fine by me. Once I dried myself off, I picked up my clothes for the day. Went with a loose-fitting outfit that had been given to me by an elven monastery. Once I hit level 15, I got stuck in a training slump. I traveled to the monastery to learn more about their martial arts, which were rumored to involve using weight and momentum to put an opponent off balance. My hope was that their techniques would help me develop some more of my own. Thing is, they were far more devoted to their worship of their gods than doing martial arts. Cause of that, they needed help with some monsters that had been getting closer and closer to the monastery. Didn't want it to become a monstery, I guess. I agreed to help in exchange for being taught what little they knew. As is normal for my infamously shitty luck, there were way more monsters than they thought. What should have been a quick and easy hunt turned into me fighting and struggling to stay alive for 3 days straight. By the time I stumbled back to the monastery, I was nearly dead from dehydration and blood loss. I lived up to my end of the deal though, and the monks were super grateful. Once they'd healed me up, they taught me various throwing techniques and grapples that I probably could have figured out on my own. I was a bit disappointed, but it had been what I agreed to, so I was willing to call it fair. After I'd learned everything and was about to leave, though, they presented me with one of their outfits. They explained that this outfit was special. It had been worn by their founder and granted an enchantment by the god that they revere. Of course, they had no idea what the enchantment actually does, but they'd gotten permission from the god to give it to me for my service. I was blown away by the generosity and almost declined, but was smart enough to know that you don't say no to a god if you can help it. So I took the loose-fitting shirt and pants combo and saved it for special occasions. I've had a few enchanters take a look at it over the years, but even they couldn't figure it out. All they could do is confirm that it does, in fact, have an enchantment. Since I don't know what the enchantment does and don't want to risk damaging it, I've never worn it in a fight. Training is a different matter entirely, though. I clinched the shirt closed with a thick blue belt that came with it, then had another look at myself. The bright orange fabric kind of clashed with my dark green skin, but it fit pretty well. My favorite part was the lack of sleeves, and the low cut that exposed my chest. Plenty of ventilation. Come to think of it, the monastery had been started by an elf. Considering my size, it must have been a pretty damn big elf. Or maybe the enchantment is to make the clothes fit whoever wears it. That'd be pretty damn funny. The inn was silent as I left my room. Mara, the innkeeper, was definitely still asleep. Her love of partying kept her up most nights. Just as well, most people don't go looking for rooms bright and early in the morning. Another chill greeted me as I exited the inn. The sun peeked over the horizon like it was shy or something. I could tell that it was going to be the perfect weather for a great training session. As I happily made my way toward the outer house, I waved at the people that had managed to make their way out of bed. I got more than a few raised eyebrows, probably on account of my outfit, but they all waved back. Nulliver's got some friendly folk. Before long, I arrived at the home of the fabled Yilda Altar and her sons. I knew better than to bang on her door this early in the morning. She was probably awake, but I'd been forewarned that waking her papas would risk the wrath of her sandal. Considering that piece of footwear had killed stronger men than me, it was best not to risk it. I leaned against the fence and wondered how a sparring match with Yilda would go. According to the tour guide who had pointed this place out to me, her class was something like an assassin sorcerer. She felled great beasts with a knife in one hand and a wand in the other, darting around the battlefield like a daggerfish. She was also damn good with improvised weapons, if the tales about that sandal are true. There's no doubt she'd kick my ass, but I'd feel fine with that if I landed even a single strike. Or even if I just learned something from it. While I waited, I did some warm-up stretches and calisthenics. By the time the sun had gotten over its shyness, I moved on to dynamic tension and isometrics. I was careful not to overdo it, in case my muscles got ahead of me and started wanting an actual fight. The moment I finished, the altar's front door opened and Nash came out looking contemplative. "Hey," I said, as he opened the gate. The older altar brother jumped as if he hadn't seen me. "Oh, hi Thunra," he absent-mindedly greeted me. "Sorry, can't really talk right now." "Alright, see you later then." "Bye." Nash walked away at a pretty fast pace, leaving me to wonder where he was headed. And then I realized that if he was up, everyone else might be too. Shelving my curiosity about Nash, I ran up to the door and gave it a few respectful knocks. My heart practically leapt into my throat as the door opened. "What did you for... Oh." The legend herself, Yilda Altar, asked, "What's this about?" "Good morning, ma'am," I said, with what I hoped was a disarming grin. "My name's Thunra, and I've come to call on Nick, if that's alright." "What for?" "Training." I flexed a bicep for emphasis, hoping to teach him some more hand-to-hand. The boy's got talent, and I'd like to turn that into skill. "I see. Would you like to wait inside?" "I wouldn't dream of imposing any further than I gotta, Mrs. Altar. I'm perfectly happy waiting out here." I'd been forewarned about her view on her marital status too. She gave me a smile that made my heart flutter unexpectedly, and nodded. Then she closed the door, and I was left to try and figure out a new piece of information about myself. I've joked about being into older women before, but I meant by about 5 years or so. I had no idea how old Yilda actually was, but I'd been hearing tell of her adventures since I was a boy. First time I remember hearing about her and her husband was when I was about 6. So she was a whole grown-ass woman when I was barely out of diapers. Even so, that smile had rocked me. Maybe it's because she's famous and strong. Yeah, the brutish part of my brain is probably putting her up on a pedestal. Best to ignore it. Her love for her husband is almost as legendary as their accomplishments together. I hope I one day find a girl that'll avenge my death like she avenged his. I pushed my crush on Yilda down into my emotional depths, as the door opened again. Nick stepped outside, being pushed by York. The younger Altar brother seemed very excited to start today's activities. I chuckled at his excitement, but then I caught Nick's surprised expression.
Is that... Where did you get that outfit?"
he asked. "It was a gift from some monks," I shrugged. "What, you recognize it or something?"
"Looks a lot like the uniform that a character from... Nah, never mind," Nick sighed, then chuckled. "Let's just get this over with, Piccoloku."
"Pico what now?"
"Never mind."
I shrugged again, then began leading the boys towards the training pit. As we walked, I caught sight of Nash carefully studying some stuff at a stall. He was holding flowers in one hand and a pendant in the other. "What's up with your brother?" I asked York.
Oh, he asked Nima to marry him last night, York replied.
Really? Pegged him for the bachelor type. How long have they been courting?
Therein lies the issue. They weren't courting.
My jaw dropped and I stared at York in disbelief. "No," I said.
Yep,
Nick interjected.
it's true. Right in front of everybody.
Pull the other one, boys. Come on now, there's no way he's that dumb.
Love can make fools of the best of us.
York nodded sagely.
And though I love my brother dearly, Nash isn't exactly the best of us when it comes to intellect. He'll be the first to admit it, too.
Love makes fools of the best of us, eh? I recalled the flutter in my chest caused by his mother's smile and suddenly found some empathy for Nash. York ain't wrong. Feelings can make us do some really dumb shit. I ain't dumb enough to make a move on Yilda, though. So, what's he doing then? I asked. Did she say yes or what?
She pretty much said fuck no, Nick laughed. But she gave him another chance. He has to make it up to her, though. Indeed, Nash is planning to give her a bouquet made of the last of this season's flowers and a pendant that matches her eyes. Then, if she feels better about their situation, he's going to take her on a picnic, York explained.
Well, flowers are definitely a good start to getting to a girl's heart, I chuckled, then remembered something. Wait, isn't Nima the guild girlie? The one as tall as me?
Yes.
Ain't she related to High Chief Ulamak?
She's his niece, if I recall the lineage correctly.
Fucking hells. He may as well have crawled into the catapult himself then.
Huh? Nick asked. Slang for someone aiming far above their station, York explained. Especially when it comes to marriage.
Yeah, someone who's being forced to marry above their station is being loaded into the catapult, I added. Someone who's trying to get a spouse above their station is crawling into it. Either way, you usually come crashing down at the end of it.
There's not exactly an apt idiom in this case, though, York chuckled. The Altar clan is pretty high up there in regards to marriage candidates. Ulamak was expected to take a bride from either the Altar clan or the Maxim clan before the drama with his brother. It's been a while since I've seen my grandmother, though, so I don't know what the current situation is.
Oh? I grinned playfully. So you lot are a big, big deal then.
Not really. My father didn't like the intrigue of being part of a powerful clan, and his marriage to my mother was quite controversial. My brother and I seem to have inherited his disinterest as well. From my understanding, so long as we don't ask them for favours, they won't force duties upon us.
Yilda wasn't welcomed into your clan?
Not at first, but grandmother adores my mother and fought the rest of the clan for her inclusion. There were jewels and everything, and at the end of it all, mother was welcomed into the clan. Father was pretty fed up with it all, though, so we came to live here. Mother could explain it better than I, if you're that interested.
No, I stammered. That's okay, I get the gist of it. So if Nash and Nima do end up together, will their little ones be in line for High Chief?
Yes, but how far down the line is up to Ulamak? If he doesn't have children by the time he retires, then either Nima or Alun will become High Chief. Alun is the most likely candidate, as far as I can tell.
What about Ulamak's brother? I asked. A Guano, right?
That's right. He could be considered a candidate if anyone had the power to actually force him to accept the office. I've never met him, but I've heard that his apathy towards politics matches his legendary might.
Gotcha, I said, as we approached the training pit. Alright, let's start with some stretches. Want those muscles nice and limber.
Okay, Nick said with a sigh. What kind of training will you be doing today? York asked, excitement creeping into his voice.
Ho, you'll see, I winked.